in time where it's optimal to marry a woman, but lately that optimal time is geared towards her individuality in pursuit of stability on her own. So whenever a man gets a chance to marry her, she done ran through her 30s, and it's just the value exchange is kind of deflated at that point.
And I think
The ideal situation to get her is whenever she's young and she's, you know what I'm saying, more impressionable, fertile, and all those things. But a lot of women are coming off of the assembly line, pursuing their own individual stability and fucking running the streets and shit and hot girl summers. So like now you as a man in society, you got to pick them whenever their pussy lips is hanging too low or whatever you want to call it. It's not an optimal time to select them. So it's better to just go with transaction and just because the amount of peace you got to sacrifice at that point, the value she bring at that point don't compensate for the lack thereof. So
there are other people that have not addressed this question. There are 3 other people here that have not addressed the question. So can we
go
get
ahead, Shannon?
So I agree with what's your name again? The guy with the red hat on, I believe.
Illa, just say Illa.
Illa. I agree with him. I don't think we value each other anymore. I agree with that. But let me just say this. This is the one thing I'm gonna say. I think it's the women, and I'm gonna tell you why, ladies. We have devalued ourselves. You out here giving it out. Just this is my personal opinion. It's not on everybody. I know some people are just free with it. I'm not. I just think that why would a person marry you if you just go give like it's no point. He's living in a marriage and he ain't without the responsibility of you. You are doing everything a woman would do in a marriage, and you do it for years without even a commitment. What's the point in him?
She don't want to subscribe to no order. It requires her to, as a young woman before all that, she would have to subscribe to some type of structure. She would typically have to yield to some type of leadership. So it's better to go ahead and bust it open. And live in her own solitude.
I did that. So what I'm saying is they're never going to. Why would he marry you if he's getting all of his needs met as if all the great things about being in a marriage without being in a marriage? You understand?
And why would he marry you if he doesn't see any wifely qualities in you? The same way a woman wouldn't marry a man who doesn't have any husband qualities, it's the same way a man would never marry a woman who has not shown any wifely qualities. Like how they, for some reason, believe that the only time they should do any wifely things is when they're married. But the marriage begins before you say I do, before you walk down the aisle. Like that should be a simple principle.
Saying you can sit here and do all this, but he's not going to take responsibility of you. The only way he takes responsibility of you is in a marriage. So you can do all these wifely things, but you are not a wife until you are a wife. Okay. Yes. And what we're doing is we're doing all these great things. You folding his clothes, washing, and you should show him. He can see that you can wash clothes. He can see your house. He can see that you're a clean person. He can see that if you cooking for yourself and he comes over, you make sure he has a plate. Absolutely. But what I'm saying, he can see those things, but y'all showing up every day like this man is your husband. He's not going to marry you. He's getting all of the perks of you without even having to do his part. So I don't blame him. You can't blame him for that. Like, if you're getting it, what's the point?
You're right, Shan. So what you just exposed is that we do value them. They just freebies.
Like, this is goodwill. It's your own railway, your own clearance.
Women are just giving it all up. And like, why the fuck would I marry you if you just don't do everything for any other man you meet? You're not a.
I mean, if they're going to say they're not going to do anything wifely like for a man before the man marries them, then they shouldn't expect the man to provide or protect until they get married. Also, but let me guess, they don't want that kind of deal. You as your man, they want you to provide and protect. They call it apply pressure. They don't want the bare minimum from men. They don't want to wait till the marriage for the man to show that he's a provider. They want him to show he's a provider from the first date. But for them, they're going to pick and choose what they can do before they get married. Isn't that funny? Well, clearly it's not working out.
Virgin already coming at me. See, I know all of the little tricks and stuff you learned on your to get on your tippy toes and handstand and shit. Probably learned that from the dude down the street. So
Facts.
you coming to me with this, yeah, I'm gonna enjoy my time while I can, and I'll cash app you every now and then. But yeah, that's just typically what's going on. We don't. It's not that we don't value the woman. We value her. We value her at its particular window when she don't value the concept of being in a marriage. And it's just a mismatch. So, and then they want to blame their frontal lobes. Oh, my frontal lobe is not developed, but you can walk 3,000 that thing and do a headspan on it. But you're talking about your fucking judgment is impaired up until 30. But you're doing all of these fucking things though. Like, I don't get it. You can't just deal with a man. You have to deal with a man after 35.
Facts.
Right.
And I also think you don't become a wife. I think that's something you walk into before you even have a man.
Yep.
And same thing with men. I think if you want to be something, you have to already start walking in those steps of how you live your life on a regular. I don't think you just wake up and being wife one day. A lot of women, I feel like there's a lack of discretion in even how they just dress. I feel like I remember once upon a time, you know, women would dress a little salacious, you know, on occasions. But you go on the average Instagram, the average Instagram, I ain't even talking about salacious. So it's really the lack of mystery. I think it's a big deal too. It's no discretion in the way that our women carry themselves, and there's no more. It kind of undermines courting when I can see everything you got on your Instagram page or even in public. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's like having your behind out or wearing something sheer and see through. That's just standard now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't just understand how women can think they can dress like that and just think that they can just turn on being a wife. I don't think that's
Ella, you remember when
That's true, because there's so many women who are married on social media, on Instagram. And it's like, I'm married to them too, because I see everything out. It's like whatever their husband sees in the bedroom, I see it on their social media. So it's like, I mean, I don't know what she's covering, because whatever he sees in their house, I see it on her social media. The only thing I may not see is the real punani. But other than that, everything else, the boobs are out, the butt is out, you know, all these weird photographs, all these weird photos. It's like, there's nothing left to imagination.
back in the day, about 10 years ago, you used to see panels like this where they had suits and ties and they was on panels like these, like on news broadcasts. But then now today, whenever you see women on here, like a great deal of them, a great percentage of them had a fucking cleavage out. Like you would never see that back in the days when women just show up, the titties is out. Like,
because my thing is just that I'm not even trying to put women in a back in a box. I just feel like women need to know the time and place for everything.
Lady O and Depot in there real quick.
Word. Go ahead, bro.
All right. I think everybody hit on some very key and important things. I got 197 dudes that work for me in my construction company. So, and we in Florida. So sex is just like Burger King or Chick-fil-A or any fast food place you think of. So, you know, you do have that, you know, but depends on what you want to put in your body. Do you want a Osceola bowl or do you want, you know, a Wendy's biggie bag? So it's still ladies out there that have a little culture and knowledge, and they were shown how to be a woman, a wife, and a good lady. And there's a bunch of them that's out there, just like my boy said about busting it open. But, you know, that come from the structure in the home. And, you know, a lot of guys don't know what it looks like to be in a marriage. A lot of my men that work for me, they didn't have their dad. So, you know, I grew up with my grandparents, so I saw structure from day one. So with the most men just never saw that, and that's all it is. And so that's where, you know, you come with desecration to both genders at that point. A lot of people see their mom going through it with a ton of dudes so they could just make it. A lot of dudes see, you know, their dad by himself and the mom could have died. And he's, you know, it's a whole lot that, you know, you could say about that. But in general, like Ella said earlier, the respect of life is definitely gone for anyone. And that's the core of it, most of it. I would say that is definitely the core, but it's just the structure, like we was talking about earlier. It's the structure on both sides, because it's tough But it's if you just talking about sex, she was saying, why, girls are giving up for free. Some girls think that that's all they have, and so and that comes from the house as well. So if they figure if they pretty and their ass is fat, they in there.
But let me just say this, Debo. It's not even about that. I would say that good girls have even fallen for this, right? Because you can be a good girl and give a guy all of you, right? You can be loyal to him, but that does not necessarily mean that he's going to marry you. It's a lot of good girls right now who are placeholders for a man. You understand what I'm saying? So even with that, if you value yourself and say, I'm not giving you any, he can tell you're a good girl by the way you move, the things that you do, and you don't have to give your body up for that. But why would he marry you if you're just going to freely? I think that this is one of those things that good girls and other girls, it's a common problem. We're just giving, it is too many benefits given out, even in relationships that are not moving towards marriage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what are those benefits that she's talking about? Because she keeps talking about, oh, the women are just giving it up, but that means it's just about the sex. Sure, she thinks if a woman doesn't sleep with a man, the man will just marry her. Men don't just marry women just for the sake of it, just for the sex, right? There's other things. There are the wifely characteristics. So if all you have to offer a man is your body and there's nothing else that you're going to offer him, even if you make him wait till after marriage and then you guys get married, then he finally, you give him the coochie and then he figures out, oh my God, this is all she has to offer, the sex, that's it. She can't even cook. She can't even make a sandwich. Okay. Guess what? The marriage is going to end, right? The moment it starts, it's going to end. Because now you finally gave him some sex because you made him wait till marriage, but now there's nothing else. So he's going to seek that you are making him wait for the sake of it because you wanted to get the ring, but there's nothing else you can offer to him. But anyway, shout out to Lapif. Shout out to you guys who are in here. Like the video, support your boy. Let's go to another video. Give me 1 second. Give me one moment. I had another Lapif video. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Just 1 second. All right. All right, here we go. All right, here we go.
We see more toxicity, so much more failure, and relationships just being destructive. And we only have a small group that we actually look at as a collective society to get hope and inspiration from. But when we see one of those falling or fragile or have some type of crack or vulnerability, it kind of deflates us. So it has an impact on us. I don't know why we got away from that part of the conversation when we was able to hone in on it.
What couple are you talking about?
Can I add something?
Well, the Aisha and Steph Curry couple, but I would say that's just one of them. Like there's many other couples. Like LeBron and Savannah was one of them. I think Will and Jada was one at one point until that started to fall apart.
Can I add something?
Go ahead, Bo.
Great. So this is where I think some men are weak. I will never date a man who cares about what other men think. If in fact you do not have your own thought process, if you cannot think for yourself, if you are not validated by yourself and by the things that you produce, you can't date me. If you care what someone else thinks about you, that's weak. to me. I see that as a weakness. We don't think for ourselves. We don't make up our own realities. We want to rely on what other people are doing. You're looking to your left and your right, to your neighbors, to your left and your right, to figure out what to do in life. And I think that we need to figure out what we want. That's why people criticize me when I'm up here speaking for myself. People are criticizing me saying I will be single forever just because I have my own idea of the type of man that I want. How are you mad at me?
The type of man you want, and I've heard her describe the type of man she wants so many times, is what every other modern feminist woman wants. The man who's going to let them do whatever they want, but also pay the bills. That's the type of woman. So how is she making it seem like as if the way she thinks is different from other women?
Me for what I want, and I am not joining in with every other woman and what they want. As a society, think for ourselves and make up our own realities for ourselves. You look for inspiration in other people, and you should be the inspiration for other people, but you can't be the inspiration for other people because you can't think for yourself. You're going off of too much of what other people are doing and thinking, that you can't even make up your own reality and be that non-toxic couple that you want to see. If you are what you want to see, it will become something in the world. Until then, you're going to look around and see toxic people. And then because you look to other people for inspiration, you are also going to be toxic. That's your choice, though. But I choose to think for myself independently and search for something that is going to fit me instead of trying to figure out what everybody else is doing and being like, I think that's a good idea. I'm going to join with it too. And then I'm going to be miserable. It's dumb.
Well, can I?
That's not true. Boy is a feminist and she thinks like a feminist. So for her to make it seem like as if she thinks anything different from what modern women think is laughable, because I've reacted to Bo like 1,000 times and everything she says is what feminists say.
Offer something. I think so I do care about what people think, right? But there's an asterisk there. I only care about what my peers think. Now, my peers aren't men who make just necessarily make the type of money I make. My peers are men who are also as intelligent as me, but they're also as emotionally intelligent as me. Also, they're just as empathetic as me, and they're just as principled as me. But not only that, they can see perspectives. You know, they try to see perspectives. They try to come up with solutions, and when you're engaging in conversation with them, they engage in good faith, right? Those are my peers. So not just somebody who make money, if you have all of those things, then your opinion is genuinely valuable to me. I think you have a valuable opinion. So I care about what you think because it only makes sense for me to care about what you think. I understand what you're saying, but I think that what you mean is slightly different from some things that you said.
No, they're not. She mean what she say. Trust me. She's very meticulous in what she say. But I will say this: the type of man that she would prefer to date are the guys who,
Let her do
whenever
whatever.
they lean on their own understanding or their own type of thinking and don't have any principle or any oversight or anything to look to as a replica or as a template to go by, have failed drastically. Like if you look at Adam, the very reason why he made the decision to hearken to Eve's voice is because he wanted to think for himself and make a decision, and he didn't care about what another man thought, what God thought. He exited him out and focused on what she wanted. He thought for himself. So I think that every man should have at least two figures that they rely on, not necessarily for their thinking, because inspiration is different than making you incapacitated from making your own decisions. Inspiration just give you a blueprint, a template, or some type of hope in disguise of a choice that you could potentially make if you were faced with the same situation. So it doesn't mean that you can't think for yourself. It just means that you have somebody that can inspire the decision making whenever you do think for yourself.
I agree. Every man, whether you look up to your father, whether you look up to your coach, whether you look up to the people in your family, you have to look up to somebody, or you even have to go to someone for some kind of advice. But what Bo, this one, wants is the type of man that she can control, the type of man who's a yes man to her. So if she tells you as that, if God forbid, if you're the husband and she tells you to do something and you're not sure, she doesn't want you to go seek, understanding from anyone else. She just wants you to say yes or no. In other words, you're going to be the king in jail.
So if you take Moses, the reason why he wasn't able to go across the Sea of Jordan is because he, at various times, he was thinking of himself. He wasn't focused, or he wasn't concerned about what God thought about the decisions he was making. So a lot of these scenarios will give you an example of great kings falling because they didn't rely on the thinking that came before them. A lot of men today, a lot of young YNs out here, they don't have fathers in their life. They don't have anybody to give them that blueprint, that mentality,
the guiding,
to shape their way of thinking. So whenever these people are going, society is the way it is right now because people are leaning on their own understanding and thinking for themselves. That's why you got our community is the way it is. There is no structure. The structure was supposed to be created from some type of thinking that came before you so that you could follow it. And it's actually curated in a way to where it gives you the best outcome and whatever degree of difficulty. Because we don't accept it and we just move on our own, that is why we in this situation we're in. So I understand you don't want to date a man who can't think of himself, but I think you're over-exaggerating what we mean when we say that we look to people for inspiration. We can still think for ourselves, but a lot of our decision making is going to be inspired by somebody who's been there before.
Who has done it.
So if I'm looking at a real dope dad to shut up a merchandise store or whatever, online merch, to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, I might not think about the process or carry out the decision making based on what I think is fit. I'm going to lean on him to give me the guidance on that. And I think that's totally fine if you want to try to have a higher success rate in what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think the solution is somewhere in the middle of what both of y'all are saying.
Nah, she just wants a man who's just going to do whatever she wants, right? She wants a man who's not going to have friends who are going to be like, hey, bro, you let your woman talk to you like that? That's why some women don't, when they get a man, they try to make sure they don't let him hang out with his friends anymore. Because, the man is going to be like, oh, she was talking to me crazy. And the guys are going to be like, you let your woman talk to you crazy? She doesn't want any man to give the husband any type of information that will make him better or will make him look in the mirror and be like, I shouldn't let my woman talk to me like this. Or she doesn't want the man. Let's say she doesn't cook for the man, right? But the friends have wives who cook for them. If he finds out that wives are actually supposed to be cooking for the husband, she's going to have an issue with it. But anyway, shout out to you guys. Shout out to Lapif down below. Links. Shout out to you guys who joined me for today. I'll be back soon. This was a short show, but I'll be back and do a longer show. So till next time, like the video as we head out. Peace.